got some like a few like couple of questions that all kind of sit around the same kind of area. If you remember me, I'm the one that's I'm kind of still got quite a lot of doubts about the whole non-dual thing at the moment,
Yeah.
and but at the moment I'm kind of I had got into like a I'm going to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt and just ask some kind of straight non-dual stuff this time of and so I got into like a kind of dispute the other day, and uh, there were moments in the argument. It's not argument. It's not really the best word for it. But where there was one moment where I kind of felt like my ego, if that's what it is, had been trapped essentially by the way that basically what happened was the argument kind of ground to a standstill, and someone just asked me, "Oh, so what are you doing for the rest of the day?" in quite a polite way, and I knew that it was like a genuinely like benevolent kind of question, and my ego didn't really have a response to that, and what came out was just a very clean, pure kind of don't like the word pure, but like a very clean kind of like, oh, I don't know, in like quite a gentle and kind of like peaceful way, and it just felt like there was no like physical like kind of a blockage to it or anything like that. And that's kind of my question, like, do it's my experience that if it is ego that is the kind of if there's a lot of truth to this non-dual teaching, for want of a better word, is it do we like can you feel it like physically in the body, like in your words as well? Can you like it almost feels to me like my words are like hitting things, like when I'm speaking, and when it's less the less of that, that's almost as if it's like more non-dual, and there's less duality there, and less like it's like I'm hitting less imaginary barriers, if you see what I mean,
Yeah,
and
totally.
like less like imaginary separation.
Yeah.
And I remember just before I remember once seeing a really good mime, and and thinking, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a mime, but like a really good mime before, but I saw one once, and I was like, you can I could feel physically when he was like kind of hitting into imaginary walls or whatever, and it's because he's tricked you into believing that it's kind of there.
Mm.
And I wonder if like those physical sensations when you're speaking that I get anyway, and maybe other people get, is actually like it's almost like your mind is like a mine for you, and it's like saying these things are here, these problems are here, and you can actually physically feel them. Anyway, that's kind of a bit off topic, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Is that
totally agree that that type of thing manifests, but you'll never be able to pin it down to a complete science. But yeah, when you feel very identified and when the ego is very strong, it feels like you're working within a narrow boundary of yourself. So, and when you feel more expanded, so this is the way my teacher Roger used to say it, then everything feels a lot more free. But you'll never be able to pin that down to science. And so in the end, who is that relevant for? Like, who is interested in discerning that, and why is it interested in discerning that? It's okay for generalization, you can discern it, but the most important thing always is not the conceptualization of non-duality and what will happen or won't happen. It's what's noticing right now, what is accepting everything. So in your experience right now, beyond your idea of being expanded or contracting, what is resisting nothing?
I've got to be completely honest. Like, a lot of like kind of non-dual kind of questions like that at the moment I kind of don't really get anywhere with, and that's just me personally. Maybe it's not like that for everybody, but for me it kind of just feels like abstract, you know, even the question who am I doesn't really feel that profound anymore. Like it you kind of used to, but now it just kind of feels uh
Another wall.
I don't know, like just kind of like maybe not that great, like not that great, or
Yeah, to the
not that
mind.
profound,
Yeah,
like
to the
because it's just like
mind, that becomes very boring very quickly. At first, like, I remember when my friend used to point to me and go, "Who is the finger pointing at?" And I would think, "Bozo." Such a stupid question, but it's actually really profound. So, okay, so I understand that the mind is not interested in that question anymore, or just finds that it just doesn't do anything, or it's not interesting, or maybe even it creates discomfort. So then, but let's just carry on going in this. So right now, when you look around you, you see the walls. I don't know if you're outside or inside. It sounds like you're inside. But you see the walls, maybe the space, the lampshade, table. I don't know what it is. I'm just making up.
I
It
mean, I'm
doesn't need
actually
to
in a
be correct.
circus tent,
You're in a
and there's
circus tent.
I'm surrounded by animals and clowns.
Okay, so you're surrounded by animals and clowns and in the circus tent. So, so notice that all of that is being perceived instantly. So there's no space between it happening and it being perceived. And that perception, so the perception of it, is not suffering. So your perception of the circus animals is not suffering in any way. It's not rejecting or accepting anything. It's not wanting or not wanting. It's just there. Just there. And in that, there is somebody that's listening to Lisa that's maybe bored or not interested or frustrated or maybe enjoying this, whatever it is that's arising. But that's in that. The perception of everything that is around you has no qualms with anything and is free. And that's who you truly are. You're not the person that likes or dislikes what I'm saying. You are the space which is not suffering, in which everything is arising. And what the mind wants to do is it wants to pull you back to, yeah, but, and how does that feel in the body, and when is it ego or not ego? And that's okay, because that's all happening. But this is talking about a shift, a slight shift in perception from being inside that mind world that's in this and that, to noticing that your essence, perception, is free inherently, and you did nothing in order to deserve that, get that, or own that.
Yeah, I could like the. I mean, when I say that, like the questions like who am I don't feel that profound anymore. That's it's not like it's more because I feel like a lot of the time when I hear people answer that question, I can say like if I think of an idea of myself, then that I can see that is an object in my perception, but that itself, like I'm not sure that like is it's still like that. Like I'm not saying that it isn't true, but for what happens to, and you can say it's in my mind, but like I don't like that like argument, because that's like it feels almost like brainwashing. It's like, oh, but that's just in your head. It's like, well, we're having a conversation, and everything you are saying is also ideas as well, and it just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes there are a lot of like, and I don't think it's like on purpose, but I feel like there are a lot of like tricks that non-dual teachers use to kind of like get out of complicated or like difficult like questions like
Yeah, it could
oh
be.
well that
Yeah, I agree. That's true. We all have our failings, and it's not easy to communicate. And sometimes there's all different types of reasons why we don't like give our best. But can you see, as soon as I said that about perception, you instantly went back to the story of you, which isn't a criticism. That's what the person likes. So it's like you instantly went back into a story of you that doubts or doesn't doubt, which is totally okay. And you believe that we're talking on that level and that I'm interested in talking on that level. But that's really painful for you because I can imagine that you want validation in that world and then you feel like I'm dismissing you. But if you want validation in that world, there's so many other places that you can go to get validation in that world. But right here, we're talking about the perception in which that everything is arising in. So that person comes back and says, you know, the failings of the teachers, which is so true. We all fail so many times in this life and we all succeed and we all do nothing as well. But there is something else happening here. And if I don't fail in a way, and if I don't make all these blundering mistakes, then maybe I would go too much with you into the story and not point out enough this perception. Because non-duality really isn't about healing the character. I, however, really believe it's important to heal the character, but you can't do everything. I can't talk about healing the character and non-duality simultaneously.
yeah.
They're different subjects.
With all due respect, though, with all due respect, I haven't really like brought up anything to do with like my character. I've only really kind of found like tried to like express that my like kind of doubts, for want of a better word, with like some of the like kind of important quote, you know, important or usual questions.
Yeah. You've not tried to. I wasn't actually saying that directly to you. You've not tried to heal the character at all here, but I was just using that as an example. But in this conversation, you're wanting to bring it back to me, and I'm so sorry.
Am I though? Have I done that though? I'm not sure I have. And this is what I'm talking about. I feel like I've actually brought up kind of quite valid like critiques of like, and I'm not saying there isn't any truth to it.
But the critique is very mental, and what I'm speaking about is not mental, and that's just the way it is, which is just unfortunate for you. Because the critiques that you're bringing up, which I agree with in a way, like we fail all the time. I fail as a speaker so often, but I mean, that's just the nature of everything. It's not just me. I'm just admitting that that's what happens. Like, we can't be perfect. So that I understand that in the logical mind, but what is happening here now? Where is perception? And this isn't a
maybe
thought.
Perception. Maybe like my question, like with you know, with perception, if everything's on like in my awareness, like I wonder if that is like not that big a deal. Like maybe it's like sight. If I'm sight is like if I lose my eyes, then sight wasn't that profound at all. Now, of course, sight is perceived by what we call consciousness, but then I wonder sometimes, is that just, and I've got to be honest, like these are just like critiques really I have with like, I suppose with like some of the like kind of, I even hate using like non-dual language because a lot of it, there's a lot of like narcissistic energy in it. I wanted to say in the teachings or in something like that, and there's a kind of flavour of like lack of self-awareness and a lot of like the non-dual teachings and in the
but I agree. But the thing is you're going off topic. I agree with you, and that's a great topic to talk about.
I was coming back on topic.
Right.
I do experience like occasionally moments where it does feel real. I feel like we've only really gone down this like avenue because I had something else I wanted to ask about because we kind of got into like a kind of debate about questions.
Oh, I really don't think this is a debate. I feel like you keep trying to get me into debate, and I'm not interested in doing that.
Oh, okay. Well, you think you're not you don't want to, you aren't stuck caught in a debate, and I am. I see. I wouldn't agree with that, but that's okay. If you think
What
it's
I'm
just
trying to
me
point
that's
to,
debating, that's fine.
what I'm
Uh,
trying to point to is something that here that's not in language and not in thought. What is here right now beyond your thought?
what is here right now, but beyond my thoughts?
Yeah, just let that sink in. So I can see there's emotions arising, or I can't see you and I don't know. I assume there's emotion rising, but maybe not. So just notice that, notice the thoughts, and maybe in other people there's emotions arising, but maybe not. So just see that, and notice it's happening in perception. And that perception is nothing to do with what you think. Thinking is arising in it. And I'm sure you're fantastic at debating, and I'm sure you can have fantastic debates with people about this, but it's not what this talk's about.
Lisa, you're debating as well. You're debating as well. You keep telling me that I'm doing something wrong.
I'm not telling you you're doing something wrong.
You're just as you're kind of playing the like spiritual, like enlightened one now, and you're just as flawed as I am. This is a problem that I've got with it. Is that it's like there's the like if anyone expresses any doubt at all, it's like all of a sudden that's my ego. And it's like, isn't that authentic? Isn't it more authentic to have doubts and to have like, to actually maybe sometimes disagree? Some disagreeability, is that like ego? Like most of the people that ask questions to non-dual teachers are already convinced. You preach them to the choir. And now when someone brings up some disagreements, like this is why it feels so culty, isn't it? Like, I don't feel.
Yeah,
like
but Joseph, I'm not talking about that.
Ego.
Like I really appreciate Joseph.
Agreeable.
Yeah, but I really appreciate that this is your point. But this isn't what this talk's about. This talk is about what is happening right now, and all of that is appearing in perception. So what is at peace now? So there is a person that's having these thoughts and debating, and Lisa, you could say it sounds like she's debating, but she's trying to point.
It sounds like you're debating. So, it doesn't sound like I'm.
So she's trying to point.
But you just sounds like you're debating, don't you?
So she's trying to point to something that's beyond that debate. What is happening beyond that debate? Right here, right now. So there is feelings happening, there is thoughts happening, and there is something else happening that's not thought-based. So just let that sink in for a second. There is something else happening here that's not thought-based. And that's what I'm pointing to. It sounds like I'm dismissing you, but I'm not. It sounds like I'm trying to say, I'm enlightened, I'm not debating, but it's just not even in that. It's not even whether you or me are debating. What's being talked about in this talk is perception, which is beyond debate.
Yeah, okay. You might be right. And sometimes it feels like you are right.
Well, actually, it's not even in that world. It's not even about whether Lisa's right or Joseph's right. It's about the perception that's prior to all of that. So it doesn't even really matter if I'm right or not right. It's like, I mean, I'm sure I fail and succeed so much in that world. So what is beyond that world? And now, if you can, like my recommendation would be to really allow what's ever being experienced in the human world. So really experience the emotions and the sensation, and then just like as there's a sinking in, there's a deeper and deeper and deeper, and then there is perception happening that is everything. Everything. Sorry, I just have to make sure it's all still working. Yes. So it's not even about, so even if you say that I'm criticizing you, which I don't feel like I am, but I can understand how that's seen. It's not even about you or me debating. So even though it sounds like I'm debating and you're debating, it's not even in that world. Like, it's really pointing to what's beyond that world. And there's nothing which you've done wrong. There's nothing which I've done wrong, ultimately. We're both just appearing. And that this is...
I'm avoiding the... I think maybe we should leave the kind of what we've... Like, I'm not going to tell you that I think that there's egoic identification going on with you as well and debating going on with you as well. I'm not going to say that because I feel like we're getting stuck in a kind of going in kind of a circle, and I just would like self-inquiry as well. Like, I know that's what you say you want to keep coming back to. I do as well. I can't help myself but disagree when you say that it's just me that's arguing. But anyway.
Well, actually, I don't know if that was what I was saying, but what I was just trying to say is that there's nothing wrong here. There's nobody that's wrong here, you or me. That's not what this is about. It's not about you debating or me debating or trying to find an answer in the intellect. It's about that which is beyond the intellect. I don't even care about beating you in the intellect, because you could most probably beat me. It sounds like you've got a very intelligent intellect. I just don't even, like, I'm not interested in that.
Everybody's got blind spots. Everybody's got blind spots,
yes.
And you would admit that,
yes.
wouldn't you?
Yes.
That's all. I'm not super good at debating or anything like that. Like, I've probably got blind spots that you can see, definitely, and you've got blind spots that I can see.
Right.
And that's the same for everybody, isn't it? That's all. It's not that I'm like this like debate lord. Like, you know, I can see that is also an egoic, like you know, like an egoic kind of persona that people attach to and get ego fuel from, for want of a better
fair enough
term.
So but what the point is I've got blind bits, you've got blind bits, we've all got blind bits. So what the point is what is that arising in? Like it's this, it's point, like, so in this there is debate happening, there is blind spots happening, there is everything that happening, and then there is perception which is in the wall, in my voice, in the computer, and this perception is at complete peace. It doesn't need to win or not win. It doesn't want or not want. It's not looking or not looking. The perception is here and free, and I haven't got more than you, you haven't got more than me. There's nobody on planet Earth or anywhere in the whole entire universe that's got more of the perception. And this is the freedom. This is all anybody's ever wanted, is the remembering of that again, which isn't an idea, which isn't a you remembering, it's perception in which you are appearing in.
Like, often, like, when I try and meditate and do self-inquiry these days, it generally isn't very successful. And the only thing that really tends to be successful is usually it's in conversation, where all of a sudden something feels less, it feels more non-dual, you know, and less, and, you know, like I said before, like, it feels like there's less barriers. It feels more, don't like the word pure, but like, it's more like, it feels more like, I don't know, just clean and calm, and like it's coming from somewhere deep within that isn't like this, and it doesn't have a lot of this like persona kind of flavor in it. But when I do self-inquiry and I sit here and I go, what sees all of this, etc., I do sometimes feel like a kind of like it kind of become more spacious. But then I also at the same time, there's a lot of like negative like kind of sensations that start to happen, which kind of puts me off. I kind of feel like I'm kind of kind of sometimes I feel like I'm hemorrhaging like positive like life force, or like I'm hemorrhaging like soul or something like that. So I kind of avoid doing that anymore.
Yeah, it might be that
So
you need to work on that before you can do that again, because it might be that you're slipping into some form of trauma, and then like there could be a stuckness or something that happens there, which that can be quite common. So then it would like be going to work on the personality level, which I know from our past conversations you're doing. But yeah, I mean, that's beautiful if you find that in conversation, or even if you find it in just sitting. Sometimes there is a deeper, but it's really beyond you and me, beyond any memory that you have now, any knowing of what you have or haven't done. It's really in perception, in this intimacy of perception, that's appearing in. Nice. But I can feel that's enough for me today, even though I really appreciate.
yeah, sorry if I've offended you at all, or
No, you haven't offended me.
you know, for any kind of I'm like, you know, I'm full of sometimes well, full of a lot of bad stuff at the moment. I know it's not bad, nothing's bad, blah blah, etc. But like, there's a lot of kind of not so much healthy stuff going on in my kind of energy field at the moment.
Yeah.
So sorry for any of that I've kind of transmitted, etc.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, but it's really okay. I think that my heart raised a few times, but in general I felt very calm and very unoffended throughout the conversation. Like I really appreciate you wanting to really explore this and take it really seriously. And trust me, I used to get so mad about this subject and like intense. Like poor Roger, my teacher, he I've copped it quite a few times.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of negative, like not so much towards you, honestly, but like with like Eckhart Tolle and Muji and a lot of people, I just like, all I can see is the like collective like narcissism that's inherent in a lot of non-dual like teaching. And maybe that's just my perception, but it just seems really, a lot of it seems really like there's a lot of like I know who can blame them. Do you know what I mean? Be surrounded by people like worshiping them and kissing their feet, etc. Like that would drive anybody like insane. Anyway, this isn't what you want to talk about, so I'm not gonna. It's not. I'm not gonna keep going down.
Yeah,
this,
no, but I think it's a great thing to debate, and so go for it, debate it, and it's so great to have non-dual community where you can debate this, because I think it's really important. I think there is problems with teacher student.
Yeah, no one's saying it.
But I think
no one's really like.
I think there are lots of.
No one talks about like narcissism, like, and you do a little bit, but like no one talks about narcissism in the non-dual community itself. The non-dual community has got a collective shadow that everyone else that aren't in the non-dual community can see.
Yeah.
Like, who are these like spiritual like you know? And it's in the phrases, and it's in a kind of a lingo. Some of it's positive, but like all groups, there are like collective problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, I agree, but it just distracts from the subject. But go for it. Like go into groups and discuss this and like work it out and understand. I really support that. But it's just it distracts from this talk. This talk is about pointing back to what you are. Yeah. But I agree. I agree that there is lots and lots of issues. Eventually, it'll all be taught by AIs, and that'll be the end of it. But then the AIs will begin to become narcissistic. They'll get a chip on their shoulder, and we'll have to work out how to stop that.
The AI is actually pretty good at teaching non-dual stuff. I've asked ChatGPT some non-dual stuff and asked it to respond as if it were non-dual teachers, and it's actually eerily like it says it knows all the right things to say. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go now. So thanks a lot
Joseph.
for that.
Pleasure.